This video is going to be a game analysis of Lucien Agoumé versus Real Madrid last season, so let's get straight into it. So in this first clip we see Agoumé taking up a position between the Real Madrid front line, with Bellingham and Rodrigo either side. He has the awareness to check over his left shoulder, enabling him to see the space that he has if he receives the ball. And it's this scanning and checking of his shoulders which is a theme throughout his game, which aids him considerably in the build-up phase when receiving the ball under pressure, which is one of Agate's weaknesses and often sees him dispossessed in dangerous areas. However, a limitation to Agoumé's game is that I don't think he's as explosive, decisive and assertive when he has the opportunity to turn and drive forward into open space in the same way that you would get with an Edison, Baleba or a Thuram. In this particular situation, I don't think he receives the ball with optimal body positioning, as ideally I think he should be open side on, wherefrom he can then allow the ball to roll across his body, receiving it with his back foot which would be his left, and so his first touch would then take him into the space rather than receiving it the other way around with his right foot, with his first touch stopping the ball dead, giving Bellingham that split second to get back goal side and forcing Agoumé to go backwards. It's not a massive issue, but it is a part of his game that I do think he needs to improve, and a significant stylistic difference between him and some of the other options on the market who you describe more as ball carriers. But I should say, to be fair, that he is playing against Real Madrid, so in the context of the game state, it may have been better for him to not drive forward vertically and instead allow Sevilla to retain possession, slow down the tempo and gain control of the game. But just quickly before I go on, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfifa.co. They've got a variety of different current season and retro jerseys, including the new season Manchester United shirts. They sent me over the new home shirt with Bruno Fernandes on the back, as well as this 06-07 white Manchester United away shirt with Ronaldo 7 on the back, alongside another one of their unique retro shirts, this Zinedine Zidane Juventus shirt from the 1990s. If you use code ATLANTIS at checkout, you'll get a 10% discount, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. So throughout this game against Real Madrid, it was Agoumé's defensive abilities which stood out more than what he did in possession. Here we see Real Madrid have the ball on the left side, and the Sevilla right back has been drawn out, stretching the space between him and the right-sided centre-back who's remained central inside of the box. And Bellingham is going to look to take advantage of this with an underlapping run from deep into that space. However, as I said in the first clip, Agoumé's awareness is excellent, both in and out of position, as he checks his shoulder at the perfect time, seeing Bellingham's run off of his blind side and where the passing lane is open, before he's then able to react quickly with a few short steps, using his long legs to reach out and make the interception. Now in this next clip, Mbappé is running down the left side into the box, and once again Agoumé has tracked Bellingham's run from deep, but this time the pass doesn't go into Bellingham. Mbappé instead cuts inside, goes past the Sevilla defender, but Agoumé is quick to react, leaving Bellingham and getting over to Mbappé, utilising another impressive part of his mental game, which is his composure in these types of high pressure defensive situations inside of the box. See, even though there is a potential for Mbappé to open up a shooting angle, he doesn't rush in and react off a head rush of adrenaline, as we commonly see with the likes of Casemiro and Agate. Instead, he uses his big steps to eat up the ground before slowing himself down as he gets in close proximity to Mbappé, which allows him to adjust when Mbappé shifts the ball so he can then stick out his left foot and make the tackle, in the sort of position that had Mbappé been able to work an angle, it would have at least resulted in a shot on target, and if Agoumé hadn't shown this composure, it could have easily led to a penalty. This time Modric has the ball, Agoumé is sitting off, aware of Mbappé to his left, and once again his anticipation and reactions are key. Modric plays a pass, and without having to even take a step, he simply reaches out his long left leg, and he's able to make the interception, breaking up the Real Madrid attack in the Sevilla defensive third again. Here we see Mbappé is looking to cut inside from the left side, but as you've probably guessed already, Agoumé is there to put out the fire, reading the game well to get over to that side in close proximity to his right back, and so when Mbappé cuts in field, Agoumé is immediately in that space to stop Mbappé driving at the centre back, and if you watch Agoumé closely, you can see that he anticipates Mbappé jinking backwards, and so with that composed and patient ball winning style of his, he shuffles a few short steps, not overcommitting, before then sticking out his left foot to make the tackle. Now in this next clip, the pass is going to go into Mbappé just outside the corner of the box, and like clockwork, Agoumé's anticipation and reactions over short distances enables him to shuttle across quickly and put in another nonchalant tackle to win the ball. Next we see Modric about to deliver into the box from a free kick, and this is where we see Agoumé's aerial ability, winning the header under pressure, a trait that could be highly valuable in Ruben Amorim's double pivot in the defensive third, with Agoumé being a significant aerial and physical presence when he drops back into the box from crossing situations, as well as from defensive set pieces, whilst also a trait that would be needed for any central midfielder who was going to be converted into a central centre-back, which I did suggest in my previous Agoumé analysis video, so if you do want a more broader analysis of his abilities, I'll leave that linked in the eye above and in the description below. But now we can see Agoumé's ability in possession. First a subtle lofted pass over to Tchouaméni, releasing the severe attacker down the right flank. Then in the next clip, he's the one with the ball close to the touchline on that right flank, and he floats a curling pass into the open space in behind the Real Madrid back line, which does seem like a through ball that initially is over here, but I think if this is Sesko, Cunha or Mbumo, they actually do get on the end of it with their pace, turning the pass into a good through ball and potentially a high value shooting opportunity. Here we see a loose ball in the centre of the pitch. It's probably like a 60-40 ball in favour of the Real Madrid player against Agoumé, but his long strides allow him to eat up the ground over maybe a 10-yard distance, and he doesn't fly in with a crunching tackle, instead showcasing his intelligence by just applying a bit of physicality in the duel, which jolts a Real Madrid player off balance, and that's enough to win Sevilla back possession. Now whilst I have said that Agoumé isn't really a progressive carrier in the same way that you would say for Baleba, Thuram, Edison or even Mateus Fernandes, he does have the ability to drive into space when he doesn't have any passing options. But in general, he's someone who is focused on circulating the ball efficiently, and so the majority of the time, abiding by the saying that the ball moves faster than any player, Agoumé will look to pass rather than to carry it forward. However, this certainly isn't from a lack of ability, as he is a competent dribbler in tight spaces, with his close ball control and quick footwork being surprisingly good for his stature, which is reflected with his incredibly high dribble success rate, ranking in the 96th percentile, and we can also see it here, as he receives the ball from the throw-in, recognises that a pass back to the thrower is simply going to invite immediate pressure from Rodrigo, and so he takes on the responsibility himself, dropping a shoulder, changing direction, and then driving through Rodrigo and Bellingham. But even here it looks like he's running into a cul-de-sac. He's surrounded by Real Madrid players in that channel, with Bellingham's continued pursuit behind him making it even harder, but his combination of close ball control, physical strength, acceleration and decisiveness allows him to deceptively glide past Bellingham and Tchouaméni, and then with a subtle touch around the oncoming Valverde, he single-handedly managed to progress the ball from inside the Sevilla half in front of the Real Madrid forward and midfield lines, in the sort of situation where we have seen Ugarte lose the ball, to now having possession in behind them, in a 1v1 with the centre-back in the channel, looking to now drive the ball into the final third. Now he certainly isn't a high-volume dribbler or carrier, but he's very reliable when he does attempt to dribble, which is exactly what you do want from a deeper-lying midfielder in a midfield double pivot, who can't afford to lose possession in dangerous zones in their own half, but still need to have the ability to progress the ball in multiple different ways. But if we move on, we can see Modric is about to thread the passing to Bellingham. Once again, Agoumé's initial positioning is perfect, with his reading of the game allowing him to anticipate the pass, moving quickly over that short distance, which allows him to catch Bellingham flat-footed, make the interception, and now he can drive the ball out of the defensive third. And throughout this game, whilst in possession, he doesn't really do anything out of the ordinary, not really splitting the midfield line with incisive, disguised passes, or threading curled ground passes in behind the back line, which we saw him do a couple of times during his performance at home to Atletico Madrid last season. What this game against Real Madrid shows is how good Agoumé's defensive positioning, awareness and reactions are, being able to track forward runs from deep into the box as though it's second nature to him, whilst it's also evident how reliable he is in possession, and when confronting an attacker in the defensive third, having the composure to keep play circulating efficiently, not overcomplicating things, but also being someone who you can trust when he goes into a tackle or is defending in a 1v1 inside of the box, due to his composed and patient defending approach. And so Agoumé, whilst not having the creativity of a Lamine Camara or the explosive verticality of an Edison or Baleba, excels at performing a very specific role in the midfield. In build-up, he's a first-phase connector, comfortable receiving the ball in close proximity to opposition attackers, being able to invite pressure, but rarely gets caught with unnecessary touches or even dispossessed, whilst also being a reliable dribbler and progressive passer in these deeper areas of the pitch. He's perfect for an anchorman role, alongside a more creative playmaker like Bruno Fernandes, or more of a ball carrier like Kobbie Mainoo, providing the defensive security to enable them to roam further forward, and excelling defensively where they don't. But what also makes Agoume such a good fit for the United squad is he also suits ball winners like Casemiro and Agate, whose front foot stopper ball winning style pairs well with Agoume's more reactive and composed covering style. Agoume doesn't offer a significant amount in terms of creativity higher up the pitch, but his presence in the United midfield definitely improves us in the rest defence against quick transitions, in our defensive third around and inside the box, as well as in the build-up phase when we're looking to progress the ball around or through pressure. Now, if you do want to see a more in-depth video analysing Agoume, as I said, I'll leave my first analysis video linked in the eye above and description below, and if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to jerseyfever.co, use code Alandis at checkout for a 10% discount. I'll leave a link in the description and comment section below. And if you do want to sign up to my Patreon to read my articles or get access to the plot graphs, I will leave it linked on the end screen now as well.